The next Sadio Mane could be joining Liverpool. $111 million Salah replacement, AFCON drama, and Slot's big decision, all in one video. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button for daily Liverpool updates. The next Sadio Mane is coming to Liverpool. Sadio Mane 2.0 is coming to Liverpool in very soon. Recently, there's been a lot of conversations about the club's former Senegalese star. Maybe it's because Liverpool are a little short in those winger positions, or because it's the African Cup of Nations, where Mané will hope to lead his side to triumph again. Or perhaps it's just the fact that Liverpool haven't really had a player of his ilk since he left. Mané in his prime was a truly terrifying player. He'd torment defenses with his speed and directness on the ball. He just had that ability to go past defenders time and time again in a match and run them rugged. Of course, he was brilliant in front of goal as well, and scored so many important goals during his time at the club. We well and truly miss him, but maybe that void in our hearts can be filled a little in the upcoming few years. It is understood Liverpool have an agreement in place to sign Sidi Barhama Ndiaye on his 18th birthday. Only 15 years old at the moment, Ndiaye has been one of the most eye-catching players in Senegal for many years, and he's very much regarded as the next Sadio Mane in his homeland. Blessed with the same speed and electrifying ability to run past players, Ndiaye has already been training with Liverpool over the course of the year and caught the eye. He registered an assist and scored a brilliant goal playing in 2 friendly matches for the U18s. Both the assist, with the way he ran into the box and squared across for Josh Sonny Lamby, as well as the goal, which started with his pressing to win the ball back in the final third and then linking up with a teammate to finish, were very Mane-like. Ndiaye was born on December 31, 2009, which means, as per FIFA rules, he cannot officially join the club until January 2028, after he had celebrated his 18th birthday. Until then, Ndiaye can train with the club for up to 8 weeks in a calendar year, as permitted by FIFA rules. In terms of his profile, he also caught the eye at the U17 African Cup of Nations for his speed and dribbling ability. Ndiaye averaged close to 9 dribbles per 90 minutes while he was on the pitch and looked electrifying when in full flow. He currently plays for Diambars in Senegal, where he is already playing against senior players for the club's first team. He's predominantly a right-footed left winger, which is where Liverpool have deployed him at academy level, but he has played as a right winger for his country. Ndiaye was the youngest player at the U17 African Cup of Nations this year, and it's expected that he will be involved with Senegal at the U17 World Cup as well, where again he could be one of the youngest players at the tournament. This is one of the reasons why he's regarded as one of the best young talents in Africa at the moment. There are hopes that he could follow in the footsteps of Sadio Mane. His playing style definitely shares resemblance to the former Liverpool winger. So, he's a name to remember and one not to forget, because he'll be on his way to Anfield very soon. Those 2 years will fly away.
Liverpool transfer news as the Reds plan for the long term with a swoop for a Spain international, while there could be a new contract for Alexis McAllister. Liverpool is reportedly considering a swoop for Athletic Club's Nico Williams as a possible long-term replacement for Mohamed Salah. Salah will be 34 by the time next season starts, and there have been more than a few signs this season to suggest that his powers are on the wane, not to mention his explosive attack on the club either. It will be a tall order to replace the Egyptian, but a report in the Spanish media says that Spain's star Williams is on Liverpool's radar as a contender to take over from Salah on the right flank. Williams has spent the entirety of his career at Athletic Club, and despite being targeted by Barcelona over the last couple of years, he ended up signing a 10-year deal with the Basque outfit in July of this year. However, Athletic Club is having a disappointing season, having won just 7 of its 17 La Liga games so far, and Fichajes reports that Williams is now considering whether his decision to pen such a lengthy deal was a mistake. It says that he is considering a move to the Premier League, with Liverpool touted as a possible destination. The contract that Williams signed with Athletic Club earlier this year reportedly contains a €95 million or $111 million release clause, which effectively makes the length of his contract irrelevant if a club is willing to pay that amount of money for him. Liverpool is said to be keeping a close eye on the 23-year-old, with an all-out offensive apparently planned during the coming months. Meanwhile, Alexis Mac Allister could be in line for a new contract at Anfield, despite some observers questioning his form in recent times. Mac Allister joined Liverpool in 2023 and was an integral player as the team won the title last term, but he has struggled for fitness and form for much of 2025. In spite of this, Mac Allister, 26, remains a valued member of Liverpool's first-team squad and a player who Arne Slot clearly wants to keep hold of, although the Daily Mail's Lewis Steele states that the talks are still at a very preliminary stage. Mac Allister's current deal, which is the same one he signed upon joining the club from Brighton 2.5 years ago, is due to expire in 2028.
Liverpool haven't turned a corner just yet, but it is obvious what Arne Slot needs to do now. Our Echo jury have their say on the latest goings-on at Anfield ahead of Saturday's trip to Tottenham Hotspur. Liverpool have enjoyed a relatively quiet week after back-to-back victories over Inter Milan and Brighton saw the Reds' season shift back towards the tracks, and Arne Slot will now have Tottenham Hotspur in his sights this weekend. The Reds head to North London on a 5-match unbeaten run, and no doubt recalling last season's fine 6-3 victory over Spurs, which cemented their position at the top of the table. Liverpool remain a long way from such lofty heights now, but spirits are high among our Reds jury as they survey the scene ahead of another big weekend. Here's what they think about the latest goings-on at Anfield. Reece Buchanan. Have Liverpool turned a corner? After the season we've had, with many false dawns, I think even the most optimistic of Liverpool fans will need a few more performances and results to truly believe the tide has turned. With that being said, you can't not take enormous heart from our respective wins against Inter Milan and then Brighton last weekend. Not only have obvious names like Dominic Szoboszlai and Hugo Ekitike stepped up and delivered, I've been equally excited by the likes of Curtis Jones, who had backed up his comments a few weeks ago with positive performances on the pitch. Overall, there seems to be a fluidity and flow about our play, which is what seems to be a huge positive. I think the Reds have every reason to feel buoyed and confident heading into tomorrow's clash against Spurs in what looks like a good time to play the North London side. Yet, in front of a home crowd with speculation about the manager's future, they're also a team needing results fast, so it should be a gripping and fun encounter to watch. Andrew Cullen. There is a bit more Christmas cheer in the air. A sturdy, gritty win against Inter, followed by a convincing win against Brighton, has lifted spirits. The Salah tempest has settled, for now at least. It is still worrying, though, that the issue has been brushed under the carpet. It feels like a storm which could appear as quickly as it disappeared. In a strange season, with more failings than successes so far, there have been some small success stories. Szoboszlai continues to underline his leadership qualities, performing in an underperforming team. Ekitike, too, has been a bright spark. Although he has been brought into a turbulent, changing, and chaotic front line, his quality hasn't dimmed. He has a Torres-like quality to his play. The quandary for Slot is that Isak cannot be a luxury bench player. But what can you do when Ekitike continues to produce? Slot needs to be bold and lead with Ekitike as his star player. Competition for places should ignite the talent that we have, and once our talent ignites, we should start to see some stability and then success. This season has felt like 1 step forward, 12 steps back. It would be uplifting if we could now get some momentum building so we can salvage what has been a stuttering start to the season. James Noble. Football, and its accompanying noise, changes quickly. That's not exactly news, but hey, there are almost always broader patterns and trajectories, though, which can offer an overarching sense of direction. Liverpool's direction of travel this season has often appeared tough to read. It will, almost certainly, continue to fluctuate somewhat, but there's now evidence of relatively sustained headway. 5 unbeaten, featuring 3 wins and 3 clean sheets, is something for Arne Slot's team to work from. First and foremost, clearly, a collective effort, yet as ever, there are notable individual storylines weaved in. Hugo Ekitike rightly took much of the acclaim at Anfield on Saturday, as his superbly taken double secured a valuable 2-0 win over Brighton and Hove Albion, and capped another rounded display from the 23-year-old. 10 goals in all competitions now, and so much encouragement. Curtis Jones is another who has acted as a driving force, in and out of possession, and on and off the pitch, and Milos Kerkez continues to grow into the left-back role. Dominic Szoboszlai has epitomized consistency, and Joe Gomez has stepped in classily recently. The concern around their respective injury issues reflects the level of their contributions, but the early indications appear quietly encouraging. While seemingly ongoing, the situation around Mohamed Salah developed promisingly prior to his AFCON departure too. Hopefully, that broader upward trajectory can continue at Tottenham on Saturday evening.
Every Premier League player at AFCON as Mohamed Salah tries to silence Jamie Carragher. Mohamed Salah will be among 32 Premier League players in action at the Africa Cup of Nations, with the Liverpool star having some added incentive to claim a first continental title of his career. The Africa Cup of Nations gets underway this weekend, and Liverpool fans will be among those keeping a keen eye on the tournament in Morocco. The hosts kick things off against Comoros on Sunday, December 21, as 24 teams battle it out to become the champions of Africa, and a certain Mohamed Salah will be among those aiming to claim the biggest prize on the continent on January 18th. Salah is one of 32 Premier League players to have made their way over to the tournament, and the Egyptian is looking to win it for the first time in his career as he tries to put what has been a difficult season so far back at Anfield behind him. The 33-year-old has some added incentive this year, with Jamie Carragher having stoked the fires by calling his record with his national team into question following his recent outburst. He'd never won a major trophy before he came to Liverpool, Carragher said about Salah. He's also the greatest player his country have ever had in Egypt. Egypt, in the Africa Cup of Nations, are the most successful nation. He's going there in a couple of weeks. Mo Salah's never won the AFCON. That is not me trying to put Mo Salah down as a player. I've just said he's one of the best players in the world in the last 8 years, very few better. But what it tells Mo Salah and his agent is it's not about an individual. You weren't a big star before you came to Liverpool. You haven't really won anything with Egypt anyway. And all that's telling you is no matter how good a player you are, you need help from your teammates, your manager, and fans. And I think that's really important that he remembers that. Salah will be aiming to silence Carragher by claiming his first AFCON title, but there are a few of his Premier League rivals who will be looking to spoil the party. There are 32 Premier League players in total at this year's tournament, with Sunderland the most affected team, as 6 of the Black Cats' stars will be absent for at least the next few games. Fulham, Manchester United, and Burnley have 3 players each heading to the tournament, while Everton, West Ham, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Manchester City, Wolves, and Tottenham will be missing 2 players each. Liverpool, Crystal Palace, and Brighton each have just 1 player heading out, while Aston Villa forward Yvan Gassond is on standby for the Ivory Coast. Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Leeds, and Newcastle are the only sides not to have any of their players heading to the tournament. Every Premier League player at AFCON 2025. Sunderland, Noah Sabiki and Arthur Masuaku of DR Congo, Reinildo Mandava of Mozambique, Bertrand Traoré of Burkina Faso, Chemzedine Talbi of Morocco. Fulham, Alex Iwobi, Samuel Chukwueze, and Calvin Bassey of Nigeria. Manchester United, Brian Mbeumo of Cameroon, Amad Diallo of Ivory Coast, Noussair Mazraoui of Morocco. Burnley, Axel Tuanzebe of DR Congo, Lyle Foster of South Africa, Hannibal Mejbi of Tunisia. Everton, Ilian Ndie and Idrissa Gueye of Senegal. West Ham, Aaron Wan-Bissaka of DR Congo, El Hadji Malik Diouf of Senegal. Brentford, Dongo Ouattara of Burkina Faso, Frank Onyeka of Nigeria. Nottingham Forest, Ibrahima Sangare and Willy Boli of Ivory Coast. Manchester City, Omar Marmoush of Egypt, Ryan Ait Nouri of Algeria.
Wolves, Emmanuel Agbadu of Ivory Coast, Twanda Chirewa of Zimbabwe. Tottenham, Pape Matar Sarr of Senegal, Yves Bissouma of Mali. Liverpool, Mohamed Salah. Crystal Palace, Ismaila Sarr of Senegal.
Mohamed Salah was left in tears as Liverpool teammates showed his true colors. Mohamed Salah has jetted off to join Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations, with a Liverpool star desperate to win the tournament after his heartbreaking penalty shootout defeat in the 2022 final. Mohamed Salah was left in tears as Sadio Mane consoled him after Egypt's defeat in the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations final. Mane's Senegal triumphed on penalties nearly 4 years ago. Salah has now traveled to link up with Egypt again, with uncertainty surrounding his future at Liverpool. The 33-year-old appeared emotional at the final whistle during the Reds' victory over Brighton, just a week after claiming the club was throwing him under the bus and wanting him out. Egypt hold the record as AFCON's most decorated nation, having clinched the trophy an impressive 7 times. However, their last triumph came in 2010, and Salah has yet to win the competition. He came agonizingly close 3 years ago when reaching the final, only to be denied by former teammate Mane's crucial penalty. The final in Cameroon got off to a dramatic start, with Senegal awarded a spot kick after just 7 minutes. Goalkeeper Mohamed Abou Gabal saved Mane's effort. A tense match unfolded from that point, finishing goalless. Extra time produced several promising opportunities, but no goals, meaning penalties would determine the champions. Following 2 Egyptian failures from the spot, Mane took what proved to be the decisive penalty and made up for his earlier miss. Salah was designated as the 5th taker, but never got his chance due to his teammates' mistakes. He was visibly devastated when the final whistle sounded, but in a touching moment, Mane approached his then-club teammate to offer words of comfort amid the joyous scenes. The victory marked Senegal's maiden AFCON triumph. In an interview with L'Équipe, Mane revealed what he said to Salah in that emotional moment back in 2022. He explained, "We'd been teasing each other a lot before the Africa Cup of Nations, and I suspected he was bound to be very disappointed. I wasn't about to leave him without a word, though. What I did, he would have done the same, even if things had turned out differently. I said something simple to try and comfort him, asking him not to let it get him down." The Senegalese forward also reflected on the pressure of taking the winning spot kick. He added, "As I walked there, looking at the penalty spot in the distance, my first thought was, this is going to be a long walk. I admit I would have preferred to only walk 10 meters before taking the shot, but in the end it allowed me to gradually calm down. My mind was racing though. I was thinking that 17 million Senegalese were waiting for me, watching me. That's a heavy burden. I couldn't let them down. I was also wondering how I was going to beat that goalkeeper who had saved my penalty earlier. I absolutely had to redeem myself. But strangely enough, the closer I got, the more reassured I became. I kept repeating to myself everything my teammates had just told me before I went to shoot. They surrounded me, saying, 'Sadio, we're going to do it. We have complete faith in you. We're going to succeed together, just like we have since the beginning of the competition.' That collective strength is what allowed us to go all the way and kept me from trembling." Senegal's title defense in 2024 ended abruptly when they were knocked out by host nation Ivory Coast on penalties in the round of 16. Egypt, surprisingly, made it to the knockout stages without a single victory, drawing all 3 matches, but they too were ousted in the round of 16, losing to DR Congo on penalties. Both Senegal and Egypt are considered strong contenders for this year's tournament, with Salah hoping to leave behind the turmoil at Liverpool. Meanwhile, Mane, now 33, will be representing Senegal in his 6th AFCON appearance.